Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. We've got a great video with a special guest. We're talking about how we are making tax dollars work for you. To do it with us today to discuss South Bay Rod and Gun Club v. Bonta, we've got Josh Dale, who is partner at Michelle & Associates and was lead on this specific lawsuit. Josh, how are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely, as always. But before we get into it today, we are just a couple hundred subscribers away from that 10,000 mark that we've been aiming for the last couple weeks here. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button today. That could be you. And while you're at it, go ahead and type hashtag CRPA for the win. We are still doing that 10,000th viewer giveaway with the Springfield XD. That could be you. So please don't miss out on this. We're really close to 10,000 subscribers. It's going to be a great milestone, and we're going to end up doing, well, we haven't worked out all the kinks yet, but we're going to be doing a 10,000th subscriber episode with Chuck Michelle, talking about a lot of these lawsuits. So please go ahead and do that today, and always like and share. It always helps with the algorithm to get this message out there. So Josh, we're talking about South Bay Rod and Gun Club v. Bonta. If you can, go ahead and just take us through the lawsuit really quick so that we have that framework. How did it happen? What was the conclusion, and what are we starting to see from it?
So last year, we ended up filing a lawsuit against a Senate bill that was passed called SB 1327, and that was the bounty law, but in California, it was for gun laws. And so what it did was it made folks that tried to challenge unconstitutional gun laws responsible for all the attorney's fees of the local government or the state government that they were challenging the law of. And, very, very awful law. In fact, the last time I spoke with you, we were talking about that. And in December, we appeared in front of Judge Benitez. He ruled that the law was unconstitutional, that it was an improper attempt to deny folks that wanted to challenge gun laws equal protection. And so we've been spending the past several months negotiating with the Attorney General's office about reimbursing CRPA for its attorney's fees. And so, I'm happy to report that we finally have a settlement of that, and we'll be receiving a little over $250,000 in attorney's fees, which we can cycle right back into challenging more gun laws. And then we had a co-party on the case. They're also receiving $250,000. So there's almost $600,000 in taxpayer money that's coming back to help challenge some of these very onerous firearms restrictions that even in the wake of Bruin, the cities and the state still keep passing.
Yeah, so I remember talking to you about this, and this was a really detrimental thing. It was the law that mirrored the Texas abortion law. You have Gavin Newsom basically go out there and say, hey, this is an awful thing that these people did, and then he turns around and does it to gun owners. And I mean, just to specify on this, the prevailing party thing, is there a prevailing party in every case, in every lawsuit or not?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a prevailing party. The question is going to be whether they're entitled to have the other side pay their attorney's fees. And sometimes they are by contract. In this case, we're talking about civil rights challenges. And when you bring a federal civil rights challenge, there is a right under a federal statute that says that if you're challenging and you successfully challenge a law on civil rights grounds, you can ask the government to pay you the money for having to bring the law. There's a public policy of encouraging folks to successfully adjudicate their civil rights, because all of the momentum is in the corner of the government. They have the money. To some extent, they have an unlimited checkbook in which to litigate these cases. And so Congress recognized back when they passed this particular law that you need to give some incentive to folks so that they just don't go off and let their rights be trampled on and don't feel emboldened to try to fix the situation.
Right. So you have a prevailing party in every single case. How many cases are there only one complaint though? At least how many cases in the realm of Second Amendment rights do you see in California that really only have one complaint? Because basically what this law did, right, was said if you don't win all of your complaints within the lawsuit, you cannot be the prevailing party. The government is automatically the prevailing party, right?
That's right.
So that's a huge deterrent and possibly, a law that bankrupts a lot of nonprofits like CRPA. So it's really important that we got this victory in this lawsuit. But circling back now around to the conclusion here, you said that money ends up getting cycled right back in it. And I mean, I'm just tickled pink because, we have this theme in California, especially for the Second Amendment community. And you hear this complaint from a lot of conservatives as well. We have to pay taxes, and that tax money, which is I'm sure what you're referring to as the endless pocketbook, ends up fighting against us in court, continuously taking away our rights. This is a way that we're basically recouping some of that tax money by getting these attorneys' fees, and now we can cycle that tax money into fighting for our rights. So this is kind of a triple win. I know that gun owners, especially watching here, are plenty used to being taken from the government for all the taxes that just go into purchasing firearms and ammunition. Can you expand a little bit more on some of the local uses of this and what CRPA and law firms in general can do at the local level to advocate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can tell you what we've seen post Bruin is we've seen action at the state legislative level, and obviously we're aware of it. We're fighting it. We have our lobbyists up there fighting it. Rick Travis does a great job up there. But what we're seeing more of is local ordinances becoming an issue because the gun control folks, the very well-funded Bloomberg, Giffords, gun control folks, what they do is they go around and they present to city councils these template gun control laws. And we've seen it with locked storage. We've seen it with theft reporting. And they go to these sometimes often very receptive city councils. And they say to them, if you pass this law, you're gonna help reduce violence or crime in your city, which is a misnomer. But more importantly, if somebody sues you and challenges the law, we will come in and defend you for free. We will use our coffers, our nonprofit coffers, to come in and try to successfully uphold the law. So we are trying to fight sort of on a county by county, jurisdiction by jurisdiction basis, this sort of mission creep of gun control. And unfortunately, the legislature passed a law last year that got rid of state preemption. There was a law that for a long time said that, if you're going from Petaluma to Rohnert Park, or you're going from Palm Springs to Rancho Mirage, you don't necessarily have to worry about individual gun laws in those jurisdictions because state law predominates over what those individual jurisdictions might say. Last year, as part of this push, including the bounty law, the state passed a law that said, by the way, all these little local laws with different requirements, those are fine. And that creates an issue for people who travel with their firearms. You stay in a hotel in one city and you don't know what the issue is. I'll give you an example. The state passed a law several years ago that requires you to report theft of a firearm within 5 days. And then the gun control folks went around and started pitching to cities more onerous versions of the bill that required you to report it within 48 hours or 72 hours. And not just require you to report it, but let's say you're a resident of the city of Rohnert Park, and you take a long trip. You come down to Southern California, you go to Disneyland, and you stay in Anaheim, and your gun gets stolen from you while you're in Anaheim, requiring you to go back to Rohnert Park and report the theft to them, even though the theft didn't occur in Rohnert Park. It occurred in Anaheim. And most people don't know these laws, right. and so it's a real trap for the unwary. And frankly, it creates almost an unworkable system that's designed basically to frustrate people exercising their Second Amendment rights as they move about the state. And we have multiple local law challenges going on. Right now, we're dealing with Glendale's sensitive places ordinance. San Francisco's talking about passing a sensitive places ordinance. We have locked storage challenges because there's different locked storage requirements. So, I mean, there's all these local laws that we're seeing springing up as a response to Bruin and being pushed by the gun control lobby that, there's too many fights to be fought. And so to get a victory like this and get some of the money back and to be able to then use it on these types of challenges is going to be very helpful in stemming the tide here.
Absolutely. It's almost like you cut the main head off, and a lot of smaller heads are popping up in local ordinances. Well, we're going to continue to fight that, I'm sure. I'm also kind of curious just on the history of, well, not the history, but the more recent history. Prevailing parties and attorneys' fees isn't necessarily something new, but can you tell me the impact in California, in your own opinion, that this law would have had if it wasn't struck down by this lawsuit?
It would have ended all challenges to gun laws in California. Period. We would have been done. And we would have been done because nobody, including the attorneys, would have taken the risk of filing a gun law challenge and then potentially being saddled with a fee bill of $100,000 or $150,000 from the state because only 4 of their 6 claims successfully got the law repealed. And it was designed to do that. The thing that I found most amusing after we won was the governor trying to pivot and say, well, see, we did this to show that the Texas law was unfair and unconstitutional. And I thought, what a waste of tax dollars. And more importantly, it had no effect on the Texas. Our ruling had no effect in the Fifth Circuit in a Texas district court. So, obviously a little face saving there, but more importantly, just a waste of time and tax dollars. And certainly, from our perspective as advocates for the Second Amendment and for firearms rights here in California, to some extent, a waste of our time too, and a waste of our resources, of the members' resources. It's very frustrating, but glad to see that, despite the time that was spent, we're getting the money back so that we can now pivot and use it for more substantive stuff, and particularly going after some of these local jurisdictions, because that's where the fight is going to be, I think, for the next 5 years. The big stuff will always be there. We'll advocate against the big stuff, the state stuff, even federal level stuff, but these local laws are going to be, invidious here over the next 10 years.
Well, I guess at that point, reporting becomes important. All of the information that we can get, and it's great that CRPA has a chapter program almost in every county in California. So if these laws are going down, I can say reach out to us and let's see what we can do, whether it comes to just physical advocacy at the city council or board of supervisor meeting. I've seen that sway votes before, but if it gets past that, and something more serious needs to be done, we can look into that too, and we're going to keep fighting. Josh, I really appreciate you being on here with us today. Look forward to the next one, because I'm sure there will be. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely. And if you like this content, again, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. It really helps with the algorithms, helps get the information out there. And like I said at the beginning, we're less than 200 subscribers away from 10,000. We're so close to our goal. You can help us get there if you are not already subscribed. So go ahead and hit those buttons. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.